Good morning to you, Brenda. Indeed, remember that the second phase of the Mao evictions has quite been an emotive issue, hot call, just bringing together all the politicians from the Rift Valley, irrespective of the political inclinations from the various parties here. Remember, there have been quite issues here to be addressed in the Mao. Remember that the politicians led by Kipchumba Murkomen, the senator for Elgeyo Marakwet, and also former Bomet Governor Isaac Ruto have claimed that more than 10,000 persons, or rather households, will actually be displaced from the Mao forest, and also some schools. But we've had the regional coordinator for Rift Valley, George Natembeya, just dispelling rumors that there are no schools in those in the area where it's actually earmarked for evictions of persons. Remember that the first phase of eviction really had people being rendered homeless, homes were torched. And so we've caught up with the regional coordinator, Mr. George Natembeya, who is together with the Cabinet Secretary for Environment, Mr. Keriako Tobiko, have actually sanctioned a media tour of the Mao forest to just get the facts right. And so before the media can have a tour of the Mao forest, we've caught up with Mr. George Natembeya, with the regional coordinator here, to just give us a picture of what the media tour really intends to achieve from their side as the administrators of this area. Mr. Natembeya, thanks so much for joining KTN News Live. We've got information that you and your delegation, or rather the ministry, is actually leading a delegation, and also the media will be accompanying you. We've had politicians claiming that there are no persons, there are schools in the Mao forest. What is your take about the politicians' stand?
You know, politicians want to create an impression that the government doesn't know what it's doing. That we are saying the area is a forest, and again we are constructing schools there. But later on during our briefing, we are going to give information on how those buildings, those structures, came to be constructed into that in a forested area, because it was actually pure deceit. And I'm going to provide that information plus evidence on how this came to happen. So a school is not just a school because there's a building there. A school must have a piece of land, that's a title deed. A school must be registered. A school must have TSC teachers, and a school must have those children benefiting from primary education. Yeah, none of that is happening in those so-called schools. In fact, during our first phase of evictions, we removed everything from those schools. If maybe they can study manage and have pupils there even now when you go there, but no schools have closed. So if you find any pupils there, just find it's just a story they want to create. So the purpose of today's tour that we've really sanctioned is for the media to go and have a look at the level of destruction that has gone on, both from the first phase and the second phase. Number two, we want the media to actually ascertain that indeed the Masai Mao forest actually has existing beacons, that the boundaries are known. And in spite of those beacons being there, they were overlooked and people moved into the forest. So even going forward, part of our plan is not just have those beacons. We're going to increase the beacons and even have half a fence, so that we don't have people coming with excuses to say that we do not know where the boundary is. And then finally, if time are allowing, we also want the media to have a look at how the area that we secured last year has regenerated, and how it has actually contributed to the increase in the volumes of water going to the Masai Mara Game Reserve. We want people to see these things practically, that if you do good with the environment, the results are almost instant. Yeah.
So in short, you are saying that, yes, there are physical schools there, but they are not registered by the government.
The buildings are there. In fact, what happened was that the government gave money to 15 schools that border the Masai Mao forest. Each school was given 4 million shillings. And I want to be understood here. It was part of infrastructural development for those 15 schools that border the Masai Mao forest. But underhand, somebody gave verbal instructions to the head teachers that this money you are being given, do not construct any buildings in the existing schools. Take this money to another school inside the forest. So if I were to send an auditor today, you have to go and follow up how this money was spent all these 15 head teachers will be arrested. That one I can assure you. Because we'll just ask, you're given money to put up structures. You are the structures. He'll be telling us the structures that have been constructed in the forest. So give that authority. It's not even written. So it was just deceit. Even this idea of having a boundary between Olposmore Forest and Masai Mara Forest, it was part of the deceit. That now this side of the forest is gazetted forest, and this other side is settlement, which is not true. Because the canopy of the Masai Mara Forest and the canopy of Olposmore Forest, which border, is the same. You can't differentiate. But some people also put a boundary there to create an impression that this side is a forest, this other side is a settlement. And what I'm saying is, personally, I'm not opposed to people being given land. But let us do it above board. Yeah, let us do it in a way that don't appear to be using crooked methods. Yeah, all these things people are talking about, that's lies over lies over lies over lies. Somebody is saying that we have got candidates who are registered for KCP. It's a lie. Why are people just cheating? Yeah, you cannot get government land. You cannot have government allocate you land by using lies. Yeah, let them just come out and say the truth. In fact, I've got some documents which I can show you very, very briefly. You look at a document like this. Yeah, this is an Akshomi Group ranch. Yeah, it was 1,844 hectares. But somebody just rubbed with a pen and put 9,000. In fact, 97,408 acres. You know, just change by pen. Eh? The government has to look at this one. This one is a Rayo Group ranch. It was 26 hectares. Somebody just changed and put 878.59. And yet this one is a title deed. This one is a green card. Yeah? The acreage is 26. How does it balloon to become 878? So this is the kind of deceit we are talking about. If somebody wanted land and they wanted to have more land, follow the right procedures. You want 800 hectares, it's 26 that's available, go to the government, go through the normal procedures, let the area be declared an adjudication section, let it be approved, then you are given land. But how do you do this? A single individual land registrar just changes, then countersigns. And then you have been given land by the government. Honestly,
could the registrars be playing along with the politicians' games? Because we also saw some political leaders from Rift Valley on Sunday saying that if the government has to compulsory acquire the land, then it has to compensate the buyers. Because remember, the buyers bought from the defunct Narok municipality, who are the holders in trust. Do you think maybe the politicians are now know more than we know?
The politicians don't know anything. That one I can assure you. And if they just took some little time, even just one day, they come and sit down with me, we go through all this process, they'll understand what happened. The government cannot acquire land compulsory that belongs to it. Yeah? And even if it's your land, the government wants it, you must have documents, first of all, genuine documents for it to be acquired compulsorily. So the idea of compulsory acquisition does not arise in this case. The first thing maybe they will be talking about is to formalize this allocation. Yeah? If they want to be formalized, it will be formalized, go through the proper process, people have given proper title deeds. But for these things, and a government official can only be acting on behalf of government if it does a lawful thing. You cannot commit crime in the name of government. If you commit a crime as a government officer, you're going to be arrested, you'll be taken to court, and the government will not give you a lawyer. Why? Because no person is supposed to wear a crown like this to commit crimes. So you cannot say that the land registrar, like who did this case, because it's countersigned, changing from 26 hectares to 878, this one is just a single person, a land registrar. Then you are saying the government gave us land. Why you give a land by the government or by land registrar? So these land registrars, the surveyors, all of them actually have recorded statements, and we're just waiting for the DPP, yeah, to have these people taken to court. And they have admitted actually for what they did. Yeah.
Thank you so much. Brenda, that is the word from the regional coordinator here, George Natembeya, who is one of the leaders who are part of the team that will be executing the second phase of evictions from the Mau forest. And remember that he's saying that some of the registrars of land here have colluded with some officers, and they have, to this effect, they have been questioned in connection with this, the so-called fraud. And so some lands have been inflated from as low as 26,000 hectares to as much as 800 hectares of land in the Mau. And so remember that also politicians from Rift Valley were also claiming that the government, if it's to compulsory acquire the land, then it has to compensate some people who are the initial holders of land. Also remember that the politicians had claimed that some schools, registered schools, were in the Mau. 3 wards will be tampered with. But Mr. Natembeya is dispelling those as rumors and saying that no school is in the Mau and no school has been registered in the Mau. Brenda.
Chanda.